her what she was claiming, because she said, you said that there was a video in Connecticut. What's the point of the video?
My point is that mail-in ballots are not secure because
No.
Don't try
What's
to
the point? Hold on. What's the point of the video in Connecticut that you're talking about? What happened in Connecticut?
One person dumped multiple mail-in ballots.
And then what happened? It was, you said it was on video. So was that person
mishandled.
charged?
I don't know.
Emily Austin walked onto a CNN panel this week and told the entire table that American elections are so riddled with fraud that 21.3 million eligible citizens need to clear brand new documentary hurdles just to register to vote. Her evidence? A video from Connecticut. Charles Blow asked her one question. The most basic follow-up question any journalist, any lawyer, any person with a functioning curiosity about facts would ask. Was the person in that video charged? She said she forgot. She forgot. Not the case is still pending. Not, I need to look that up. Not the outcome was complicated. Just, I forgot. On national television. As the sole evidence base for a bill that could lock millions of American citizens out of their constitutional right to vote. And here is the number I need you to carry into everything that follows. 21.3 million. That is how many voting age American citizens cannot readily access documentary proof of their own citizenship right now today. No passport they can easily get to. No birth certificate. No naturalization papers. According to the Brennan Center for Justice, that is 9.1% of every eligible voter in this country. Those are the people the SAVE Act is aimed at. Not immigrants. Not non-citizens. American citizens. Hit that like button, subscribe to Kelly Takeover, and let's put every single piece of this on the record. Let's go.
President Trump is still refusing to sign a bipartisan housing bill that aims to make homes more affordable. Mike Johnson officially sent the bill to the White House today, giving Trump 10 days to change his mind, or it will automatically become law without him. According to Trump, passing the Save America Act, his bill to overhaul federal elections, is far more important than this housing bill.
Will you sign that housing bill?
I have not. It hasn't been sent to me yet. It's coming, I understand, and then I'll make it. Here's what I would like to sign. Much more than a bill, that big deal. It's a yawn. Some people say it's wonderful. To me, compared to the Save America Act, just about everything is a big yawn.
So, Mark, I'm actually not sure where you stand on this bill and the actual bill, but even if you put that aside, to have the president saying, housing, who cares about housing in an election year? I mean, that seems like bad messaging for his party.
Well, I agree with the president on this, Abby. I think that it is a terrible bill. This was Elizabeth Warren's bill before it was Tim Scott's bill.
Before it was Donald Trump's bill.
It's not going to actually lower housing prices. You basically create a bunch of more additional subsidies, and you're having the government decide who's allowed to buy homes or not buy homes because you're trying to exclude private equity from doing so. And so I think the president's right on the merits of it. Having said that,
even know what's in the bill.
Having said that, what the president did do is his whole team walked Congress to this point and got Mike Johnson and John Thune to be pushing for it, and now they're cutting their legs out from underneath them. So on the merits of the bill, I totally agree. On the process, it's flawed.
But Mark, you read the bill.
That do help people to afford housing. And that is just as a fact.
It's a Democrat bill.
It doesn't matter if it's a Democrat or Republican. It is a bill that does help.
Takes taxpayer dollars and subsidize housing.
So does it or does it not help some people to afford housing by bringing it down?
It will not have a big impact on the economy at all.
Does it help some people?
And it'll hurt some people.
Does it help some people?
It helps some and hurts some.
Okay, well, I'm going to talk about the people that it helps, right? So even on the low end, can you stop talking? That would help me a lot. Thank you so much. Even on the low end of the spectrum, mobile homes are big for people who are very poor, just getting into the housing market. There's a rule now that requires them to have kind of this, the ability to keep moving right underneath the mobile home. The bill takes that off. Like, you don't have to have that. Most people get a mobile home, they put it one place, they never move it again. You don't need that, and that's going to save like $5,000 for someone who's struggling, who wants to afford a mobile home, and that will be their home. $5,000 off that mobile home is really significant. I think we just kind of get blasé about like, oh, this doesn't help anyone. It actually does help people, particularly people who are struggling for homes, not trying to buy $1 million house, trying to buy a $40,000.
So what Charles is talking about, I mean, just some of the other things in this bill It limits the number of homes that investors can buy. This is the Elizabeth Warren part, but also this is also the Donald Trump part, because earlier this year he said he wanted that. It eases regulations on those manufactured homes, as Charles was saying. It encourages housing-friendly zoning, promotes converting vacant buildings into housing, and offers grants and forgivable loans for repairs. And it passed by a pretty massive bipartisan
that's all I'm like not even commenting on
margin.
it. Like it passed. Clearly, majority wanted it. That's democracy. My opinion doesn't even matter right now. What I'm really upset about is when I read the articles talking about what Trump reacted to the housing bill, it was so misconstrued and framed to act like Trump was being so disgusting and rude about it. When just listening to the clip right now, I was like, wait, all he said is that in the bigger perspective, looking at it, like the Save Act is more important than all of this. And I will argue election integrity is 100% more important than anything. But the way that the headlines were framing it, you'd think Trump was being like completely out of line. And now I just feel like I was deceived once again by the media.
We have had the safest elections kind of in our
Until
history.
mail-in ballots exist, and I know we're about to disagree on that. I'm sorry. It is
I'm going to actually go back to this.
In most countries that I visited and interviewed the political leaders, they laugh at mail-in ballots.
Mail-in
It is
ballots
so
existed for decades.
Post-COVID, it should not have been a thing. They need to show, excuse me, not mail-in ballots. The fact that we do not show ID is disgraceful.
Okay,
it's
wait.
actually embarrassing.
That's a whole other.
That's part of the Save Act. But Trump was saying that the Save Act needs to pass, and he was using that as leverage to pass it.
Here's the thing. The bill has passed. Republicans have the House and the Senate. This is a Republican bill.
Agreed.
Maybe Elizabeth Warren helped drafted it, but it passed in a Republican House and Senate.
Correct.
The president also says he has not read the bill, so he doesn't know what's in it and what's not in it. He did say some policies that seem to be aligned with the bill. You could do two things at once. Well, I would hope if you're the president of the United States, you could sign this bill.
It's called leverage.
And you can also, but he's lost leverage because this bill is already passed. And so if he really wanted to use leverage, he might not have wanted to push it so much and really focus on the Save Act. The reality is like, some folks don't want to touch the Save Act. They're not going to be able to get the Save Act with the margins they did. There is an ability to do two things at once.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying that's not
true. We
true.
didn't get to this in the last segment.
He's going to sign the bill.
Well,
he wouldn't have had
well, actually, here's the thing: he may not sign it, and some of the reporting suggests that he may not sign it and just let it become law.
Yeah,
which,
fair,
that's all I was going to say. But we didn't get to this in the last segment. But the Supreme Court dealing a blow to him on mail-in ballots today is a piece of this picture, because Trump is on this anti-mail-in ballot hobby horse. He votes by mail. Republicans have utilized vote by mail all across the country to their benefit in places like Florida and Utah and elsewhere. And then the Supreme Court says here, including Justice Coney Barrett and Justice Roberts, look, the Mississippi's law is Mississippi's law. If they want to count these ballots after Election Day, they can. And so Trump
rights, my brother. States rights.
Trump is on this. I don't want to say he's on an island, but he is just so obsessed with this one issue as if it is going to solve all of his electoral problems.
I just don't see the
and
problem.
He's getting hit after hit after hit on it.
It is secure.
Look, Abby, I mean, I
remember that video in Bridgeport,
guys.
Connecticut, where one person brought in like 10 ballots?
I agree with the way the court ruled on this, Abby. I think the reality is that I want to have voter ID. I want to limit mail-in ballots. I think that would be healthier for our democracy. But at the same time, a constitution allows the states to determine their own rules for elections. And as Coney Barrett said, it says what the date is of election. It doesn't specify when it should be received by. And so Mississippi has every recourse to change the law if they want.
And can
it's
we
a
also
conservative
stop
state.
with it? Can we stop?
They can do it anytime they want to.
Exactly. They can go back and change it.
So this isn't something that the elections are not secure.
I'm talking here, Charles.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think the Supreme Court is acknowledging and saying that, look, the state can fix this if they want. I think they're really right.
That sounds like a period. All right. So can we also now stop pretending that the elections are not secure?
We can stop when they become secure. That's when we can stop doing it.
Where's your evidence that they are not secure?
I think, first of all, the fact that we do not have to show ID is a disgrace. Number two, I will find you videos, including 2024 in Connecticut, when you have on a security camera one person dumping in mail-in ballots.
I'm not going to watch it. I'm not going to watch a YouTube video.
Of course you don't want to watch it because it goes against your agenda. But if you opened your eyes and saw something that goes against what you believe, you'll see that it's not secure.
But hold on, Emily.
Don't tell me to open
what about
a better argument than, oh, it doesn't happen.
Hold on, Emily. Hold on, Charles. Let me just let Emily finish what she was claiming, because she said You said that there was a
I
video
wanna
in
see the
Connecticut.
videos
What's
and then tell
the
you
point
that
of the
they-
video?
My point is that mail-in ballots are not secure because they are
Don't do
mishandled.
that. Don't try to
What's
get
the
off of
point?
it now.
Bring
Hold
them
on.
in.
What's the point of the video in Connecticut that you're talking about? What happened in Connecticut?
what
One
happened?
person dumped multiple mail-in
And then
ballots.
what happened? It was, you said it was on video. So
then
was
they're
that person
mishandled.
charged?
I don't know.
Don't know. You're telling me that there's massive fraud and it's caught on video, and you can't tell
That
me whether
sounds
it
like a
was real
fraud.
or
We
not?
can look into
Whether
it.
the person
I
was
hope
charged
he was.
or not?
I really hope he was charged.
Because
but how many
here's the
instances were
thing.
not caught on
But
camera?
hold on.
I didn't have cameras.
Hold on,
Did
Emily.
I have
we
cameras
all
on
the way
my
down the
mail-in ballot?
conspiracy.
No.
I'm just
theory
saying
hole.
that you're
Conspiracy.
basically.
It's a piece of
It is
letter.
absolutely a
It is a letter. It can be
Listen,
mishandled.
I'm
It's
just
a
saying,
joke.
if you have video
that answers the
evidence,
How about
That
you?
answer
How
is
about
a
you
joke.
defend the fact that we don't have to show voter ID?
hold on a
You
second.
defend that too?
First of all, that is a ridiculous thing. So do you believe that actually?
Yeah,
in
yeah,
50
I do.
states, that nobody has to show any
I didn't
ID?
say nobody. Everyone should be required.
What,
to
I want to
show
know, what
voter
are you saying?
ID.
In which states can you vote and no one knows who you are? You have to show where you live, nothing. So which states are those?
How many New Yorkers said?
I
that
knew
they
you weren't
did
going to
not
answer
have
because you didn't know it.
How
I
many
know you
should
weren't
I
going to
give you
answer
a
because you
list of
didn't know
names?
it.
Let me
I
post on
knew-
Instagram. Everyone who
thing.
didn't show ID in the New York election come forward.
Here-
People will come forward.
Here's the thing.
It's a joke.
No,
Here's the
you're a
thing,
joke
but
because you
actually-
couldn't answer that question.
actually,
You tried to go
remember-
around the
Okay,
corner.
hold on.
You tried to go around the
Go
corner.
ahead, Ashley.
Even more so if everyone's already doing it.
Hold on,
why not
Emily.
me?
Hold on, Emily.
The same
and
reason why the
Charles.
Supreme
Go
Court
ahead,
ruled,
Ashley.
the same reason why the Supreme Court ruled in the Watson case today that the state's laws supersede is that that's also what happens in the states. So sometimes in states, people actually want your driver's license. In some states, they decide it's mail is sufficient enough.
Exactly.
2 pieces of mail with your name and the address that also matches what is on the voter roll. Sometimes it is that a signature match. There are multiple ways to confirm identity. So the fact that there are no ways to ensure that people are coming in droves and voting illegally is just not the case. And if it is, you would be able to prove it.
But she has videos.
Because people
from YouTube.
want to prove it so that they can change the election laws.
Yeah,
That
I
would
mean,
be the
look,
best argument for Donald Trump.
This has
but
been
it doesn't
going
exist.
on
The only
for a
time
long time.
the election has been corrupted most recently was on January 6th when the sitting president would not accept the results of the election.
This has been going
and
on
tried to
for a
overturn
long
it.
time. And every time we talk about this, I say the same thing. If you have evidence of massive fraud,
Prove it.
you're Emily or you're President Trump, please bring it forward. We would like to see it.
Show
We
it.
would
And
like
the
to
DOJ
analyze-
would like to see it.
We would love to analyze the fraud that is so rampant in this country that it necessitates changing all the laws in order to address it. Because I think if that were the case, it would be right there in front of us and there would be no question. Everybody would be on the same page about it.
No, I'm not
So
sure about
far, the Heritage Foundation has tried.
Exactly.
They haven't found it. The president has been president 2 times,
Hasn't
the
found
first
it.
term and the second term. Still
No
hasn't
receipts.
found it. So we're still waiting.
Let us be precise about what this bill actually does, because voter ID sounds reasonable to most people, and that is precisely why the framing works. It is designed to sound like common sense while doing something far more specific and far more aggressive than the phrase suggests. The SAVE Act does not require a driver's license. It does not require a state ID. It requires documentary proof of United States citizenship. For most Americans, that means a passport or a birth certificate. And when the Brennan Center went looking for how many eligible American voters actually have those documents readily accessible, the number they found was 21.3 million who do not. And the disparity in who carries that burden is not random. 11% of American citizens of color lack ready access to those documents, compared to 8% of white Americans. Which means the burden this bill creates does not land equally across the electorate. It lands precisely and disproportionately on the communities that have historically faced the most barriers to political participation in this country. That is not a coincidence. That is the architecture. And buried inside the legislation is a provision that almost nobody in this conversation is talking about. If a state fails to implement the citizenship documentation requirement, the federal government can withhold election funding. The financial pressure to comply does not just come from Congress. It comes from the budget that funds every polling location in every county in every state that wants to protect its voters' access. This is not a voter integrity bill. It is a documentary requirement attached to federal funding leverage written specifically to make noncompliance financially catastrophic for any state that tries to protect its electorate. Now let us deal with the fraud this bill is supposedly preventing, because the receipts on that argument come from the most conservative source imaginable. The Heritage Foundation, not the Brennan Center, not a Democratic think tank, not a liberal institution. The Heritage Foundation has spent years building the most comprehensive voter fraud database in existence, specifically to prove that fraud is rampant in American elections. After decades of research across the entire history of American elections in a country of 330 million people that has been voting for 250 years, they documented 1,567 proven cases. Total. Ever. For context, more Americans are struck by lightning in a single year than have committed proven voter fraud in the entire recorded history of this country. And Emily Austin brought a Connecticut video she could not remember the outcome of as her evidence that this crisis is so severe it justifies locking 21.3 million eligible citizens out of the democratic process. Charles Blow did something very simple, and it was devastating. He did not yell. He did not lecture. He asked one question. Were they charged? And the silence that followed that question, that I forgot, is the entire argument against the Save Act summarized in 2 words. Because here is what that moment actually revealed. Emily Austin was not on that panel to make an evidence-based argument. She was there to create an impression, to plant enough doubt that someone at home thinks maybe the system is broken, maybe my vote does not count, maybe the whole thing is too compromised to bother with. That is the strategy, not proof. Impression, not evidence. Erosion. Because a country that already has historically low voter turnout turns out even less when enough people start believing the whole thing is fixed. And low turnout is precisely who benefits the people pushing the Save Act. Charles Blow named it directly, and he was right. The only time this election was genuinely corrupted was January 6th, when a sitting president refused to accept the certified results and sent a mob to stop the constitutional process of transferring power. That is documented. That is proven. That had consequences for real people in that building. And not one piece of legislation has been written to prevent it from happening again. But 21.3 million eligible American citizens need new paperwork before they can register. Because Emily Austin forgot the outcome of a Connecticut video. Drop a comment below. If the Heritage Foundation's own database cannot find the fraud after decades of specifically looking for it, what exactly is the Save Act saving? I want to see your answers. Subscribe to Kelly Takeover because we are reading the bills, checking the databases, and we are not letting impressions stand in for evidence. See you in the next one.